Hey, y'all, and welcome to Politabrawl. My name is Brian, and Rand Paul just blasts Senator Blumenthal for his ridiculous comments about Doge, USAID, and the uncovering of all the government waste, fraud, and abuse. Let's dive in.
President Trump is pulling billions of dollars away from American farmers without apparently a second thought. That's a lot of harm. That's a lot of waste and a lot of abuse to people who are the backbone of food production in this nation. Already, a lot of their labor, investment, produce, going to waste as a result of the Musk power grab, slash and trash agencies in the name of eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse, but in fact creating it and profiting from it. Elon Musk is giving America the middle finger in seizing power, engaging in the biggest heist of information in America's history, delving into agencies and destroying them when his own corporations profit from contracts with them, and controlling contracts in the future that will benefit his corporations. That's waste and fraud, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The accusation or criticism has been made that this is an unserious hearing full of conspiracy theorists. Well, you know, the Democrats were asked to participate like they always are, the same way we were when we were in the minority. They could have brought a witness. They chose not to even bring a witness. I can't conjecture as to why, but maybe it's because it's so embarrassing, the stuff that USAID is spending their money on. Who could possibly be against ending $2 million for sex change surgeries in Guatemala? I mean, who wants to defend that? I haven't heard anybody yet defend the waste and malfeasance that's going over there. $3 million for girl-centric climate change. Maybe there's not a witness here. Maybe it's not serious. But I don't hear anybody explaining why we should continue to do that. Now, there is a legal question. There is a legal question. If there's $40 billion in USAID and they don't spend it at all and it just sits there, can the president impound it? This is a real question. It may come to that. But I don't think any court is going to find that the executive branch cannot pause and audit spending. I mean, to crassly say and just to jump this, it's illegal, it's unlawful, it's a tragedy, it's a constitutional chaos. Well, auditing spending is what government should do. It's the traditional oversight that hasn't been done in a generation. That's why we're finding this stuff. It's been creeping up for a generation. $4.8 million for social media influencers in Ukraine. I mean, if people want to defend that, step forward and defend it. We are finding waste and malfeasance. You also have to realize that when you have a social agenda, and your social agenda is, LGBT, well, when you take that to a conservative country that has religious problems with that, and you want to foist it on them and fly flags, what ends up happening is that doesn't increase diplomacy, that actually goes against diplomacy. I don't care what people's views are on any of these subjects. You can have any view on LGBT, but it shouldn't be part of foreign policy to force this on everybody around the world. It just isn't part of government and should never be part of government. But we're only finding this out because we have a president with the courage, including the advice of Elon Musk, including the advice of a lot of us, who have been saying for years, we need to look at USAID and make sure that they aren't committing fraud. Look, this morning, the CFO of FEMA was fired because she's spending $54 million on luxury hotels for illegal aliens. My goodness, there's a lot of Americans struggling to find work. Laken Riley's killer, we flew him and put him up in a luxury hotel in New York. He was there for a few months. We spent all of our money on his meals, and then we flew him to Atlanta. And then he drifted over to Athens, and then he killed Laken Riley. Most Americans think that that's crazy and we shouldn't be doing it, but we are only finding it out because for once we have a president with the courage to say no, to go over there and put a padlock on the door and take the name down.
Rand Paul brought the receipts to this debate, and boy does it show nearly every single time. First off, the truth about the Laken Riley story here in the state of Georgia. The reality was the man that slew her ended up coming to America from Venezuela, abusing humanitarian systems in order to get into New York City. He was then put up in a migrant shelter for a couple of months before he got before he actually caught a few charges, and then decided to fly out of the state, also using humanitarian resources, to come down to Atlanta. And then he made his way up to Athens, where he had some family. And there he decided to enter the area of which Laken Riley was jogging, and decided to take advantage of her and then take her life. And that's a story that happens time and time again. For instance, the Rachel Morin story, another illegal migrant in the state of Maryland, by the way. After all, you know that state. The state that's famous for its Maryland man, Abreu Garcia. And you'll see what the Democrats are really trying to fund here. You'll see where those tax dollars are being wasted. And you'll see where Americans pay the price. This is a different kind of evil. And I hate calling fellow men evil, particularly legislators. People whose job it is to quite literally oppose the other side and try to get their own little agendas in there wherever they can, particularly if they're in the minority like the Democrats currently are. I'm usually more willing to give them a little bit of grace, but I can't here. Okay, I can't do that here. The reason they're so mad that Elon Musk and Doge is coming for USAID is because so many of their friends, family members, and friends of friends end up funneling money back to so many political folks like Senator Blumenthal. I'm not pointing him out specifically. I'm just saying people like him, Democrats like him, that I'm not sure how deep his problems go, but there are officials in our government who have been elected by us, the people. And those people have been able to get money back from USAID because their friends or family members serve on certain boards that allow them to skim off the top, take easy money from USAID, and it's now their job and their priority to keep that gravy train flowing. USAID deserves to be cut, slashed, and burned, and then rebuilt into something much better than it was as the soft power arm of the CIA and one of the easy trust funds for a whole bunch of Democrats. That's what corruption looks like, so no wonder they're so mad. Elon Musk quite literally came after their life savings, so yeah, they're going to be a little bit mad. And when it comes to life saving, you'd think that the Democrats would care about the rights to life, liberty, the pursuit of property, but you can't protect that when you are protecting violent illegal migrants like people like the man who slew Laken Riley, like the man who slew Rachel Morin, and like the alleged record that's out currently against Abreu Garcia, okay? You can't defend that and then defend the very truths that are so self-evident in the ideals of life, liberty, and property. And to make matters worse, Democrats will specifically misuse your tax dollars in order to help out these violent criminals. And what they'll do is that they have specifically misused FEMA. That's right, the organization specifically designed to give the American people tax funder relief when there are major, and I mean absolutely major storms, when there are tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, you name it, that's what FEMA is for. But what has happened over the past few years is that as we wind down on the budget, FEMA will end up taking some of their money and then putting it to use elsewhere in the government, often for someone's little pet projects. And it makes things even worse. In this case, the CFO of FEMA got fired because she helped give she and three other people, there were 4 people that were fired for this, gave 80 million FEMA dollars in order to keep up different organizations and keep migrants, illegal migrants, in hotels across New York City. Do you not see a problem with that? Okay? Who in their right mind looks at that and goes, this is a good thing. The only people crazy enough, mean-spirited enough, and honestly evil enough to believe in this nonsense are dyed-in-the-wool neo-Marxists who think that they are trying to slowly bring down the system, and that's the point. This is something called the Cloward-Piven strategy. It so far hasn't really been tested until the past decade or so. And it's this theory that was brought up back in the late 60s, early 70s, that essentially said if you overload the welfare system with a whole bunch of migrants, the system will collapse and you can create whatever system you want so long as you have the reins to power. The Democrats thought they had that opportunity post-lockdown, and it blew up in their faces when the American people got to look at what was happening. People in those cities realized that the Democrats were giving them a raw deal. And I actually feel a little bit bad for Senator Blumenthal here. Because deep down, I think this dude actually does care. And it's not because he cares about his gravy train or he cares about doing the right thing. He cares about getting reelected. Okay? So he has to come out and say a bunch of nonsense about either Trump and the tariffs or Elon Musk or Doge, and he has to say something in order to keep that money flowing. Because if he doesn't, he will get primaried, and we'll get someone even crazier and more leftist. This is why I don't hate guys like Blumenthal. Okay? I don't. I don't respect them, however, because they allow the system to continue to go as corrupt as it is. Because they know that they're caught between a rock and a hard place. They admit the corruption, they'll lose. If they admit that they're wrong, they'll lose. But if they do it too, but if they don't speak enough on against the right wing and the evil MAGA party, then someone will primary them, and someone even crazier will win. Y'all let me know what you think, how far left the Democrat Party has gone down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politbrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.